are so excited that you've taken the time out of your day to join us to learn all things Chapel Hill. I'm joined here with a wonderful set of panelists who will be introducing themselves in just a moment. But before that, we wanted to give you a rundown of how we will be sharing the next hour with you. I will say right now that this event will be recorded, so you will have access to it after the fact. And we will be having a structured Q&A section at the end of the program, but please do feel free to submit your questions throughout the session as we have members of our team in the Q&A answering questions throughout the event. So feel free to send your questions as they come up. Do not feel like you have to wait until the very end. So our agenda is nice and robust today. First, we're going to welcome ourselves and we're going to introduce ourselves, talk a little bit about who we are and how we are members of the Chapel Hill community. Then we're going to talk a little bit about fast facts, giving you a rundown of who we are and what makes us unique. We're then going to move forward into going over the classroom and academics here at Chapel Hill, talk about student life, what it's like to be engaged with our co-curricular activities in our boarding community. We'll talk about college counseling, and then of course have the ability to answer any of your questions as we move forward. So before we get started into the presentation, I would love for our panelists to introduce themselves. So Ben, do you mind introducing yourself?
Absolutely. Good morning. My name is Ben Riggs. I'm the director of 11th and 12th grade programs at Chapel Hill, which means that I oversee all socioacademic work with our upper level students. I'm going into my 13th academic year at Chapel Hill this year, and I also live here on campus with my family, so I work in the boarding program as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. Nikki?
I am Nikki Turpin. I'm the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion here at CHCH. This is my third year here, and DEI touches pretty much everything on campus, including admissions, lunch, boarding, and all those fun things.
Great. Thank you so much, Nikki. Shannon?
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. My name is Shannon Fortin. I work in the admissions office. I'm the Associate Director of Admission and the Director of Financial Aid at Chapel Hill. This is the beginning of my third year as well. And I'm excited to get a chance to talk to you all today and maybe hopefully at some point meet you all in person on campus.
Great. Amy?
Good morning. I'm Amy Maniscalco. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions. This is also my third year at Chapel Hill, and I look forward to sharing information with you and answering any questions that you may have during the webinar or after the webinar.
Thank you so much. Matt?
Hey everyone, I'm Matt. I'm a current rising senior. I've been at Chapel Hill since my freshman year. I'm really excited to tell you guys the student perspective of all this.
Great. And Jae Hong?
Yeah, my name is Jae Hong. I just graduated from Chapel Hill. I was part of class of 2023, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you so much. So giving you an overview of who we are and what makes us unique, Chapel Hill-Chauncy Hall is a college preparatory boarding school, day and boarding school, located 10 miles away from Boston, Massachusetts and Waltham. We pride ourselves in a rich history of over 190 years of an inclusive educational environment that allows students to challenge themselves academically, socially, and personally. We are a school that offers programming from 8th grade to 12th grade. Right now, we are opening up our 8th grade class this fall, the fall 2023, and excitingly, we will have a 7th grade class opening up in the fall of 2024. So we are in the recruitment process of recruiting students for both our upper school and our middle school. And we'll talk a little bit about the middle school later. We pride ourselves in being a small school of 190 students. So our class sizes are small. Our class size, average class size is about 10 students. So it really gives our students an opportunity to really know their faculty members and master the material at hand. We also pride ourselves in having 100% college acceptance rate. We have a wonderful college counseling program, which we'll talk about in just a moment, a little bit later in the program. We like to think of ourselves as 40% boarding and 60% day, so a really great mix of students. We have 11 countries represented on campus, and we offer over 17 advanced honors and advanced placement courses throughout your time at Chapel Hill. So you have that balance of support and challenge. Our classes are around 70 minutes each, so that really allows the students to, again, get a mastery of the material and engage with their faculty and have meaningful conversations along the way. And we also have a very robust arts and athletic program. We had over 15 league championships over the past 5 years in athletics. And we have a state-of-the-art arts facilities here on campus that we like to call the Barn, where students can examine visual performing arts and be included in all facets of those programs. So we really believe that we are allowing students to achieve their best in this dynamic and vibrant community. Happy to pass it along to Ben now.
All right, thank you very much. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the work that we do in the classroom here at Chapel Hill, and also ways that our learning extends outside of the classroom. We're lucky to have a current rising senior on the panel, as well as a recently graduated Chapel Hill student, so they can speak a little bit to their experiences, and you can get a sense of how we're able to differentiate not just within the classroom, but also from student to student in the student experience. We're first going to just get a visual of our schedule, which, when you look closely at it, I think speaks to how we approach kind of schedule building and the student experience really empathically, and also very thoughtfully about how students approach content area work in the classroom, but then how they move about their day from day to day and week to week. As was already mentioned, our classes are 70 minutes long. So that extended learning time in the classroom allows students and faculty to approach material in a variety of ways in any given day, and also allows for some opportunity to do some really sharp skill building work in our various content areas, as well as to explore various areas of interest for students. We're on a 6-block rotation, and our classes meet year round. So a student will have a schedule of 6 courses, and they move through those courses throughout the academic year. And I can answer questions as we go or down the line about our variety of requirements, academic requirements, but essentially, as students move up through the years, their schedule opens up pretty significantly. So Matt is entering into his senior year. He has a ton of choice in terms of how he's going to approach that, and everything sort of builds to that 12th grade program. Challenge and support. Again, like, we really think empathically about the student experience. So we're looking to, in our model that is very relational, build relationships with students, get to know kind of where their interests lie, and support them in that endeavor. So, those initial years in the program are really about getting to know students as learners, and then really pushing and challenging them to explore areas of interest in depth. So part of the way that we do that is through various programs within our schedule. Office hours, that is a program that meets 4 days a week, and really kind of mirrors a college model where we want students to drop in and get to work with their teachers in one-on-one or small groups. So it's a nice opportunity to differentiate classwork. Advisory, like a lot of independent schools, we have an advisory program. Our advisory meets weekly, and our students are in advisories usually between 4 and 5 students per advisor. And all of our teachers are advisors, and also many of our staff members are advisors as well, because it's an ecosystem where people really love working with students. So a lot of folks step up and do that work, and it's really rewarding work. And it's, again, an opportunity for students to really build relationships with adults here on campus, because we know that that's really an integral component of student success. Our skills and academic strategies program is a real hallmark program for us. It is a skills-based course that works in concert with the rest of a student's schedule. So they have a 70-minute, if a student is enrolled in SAS, they have a 70-minute SAS class 3 times a week, where they're doing a lot of skill building in various executive function areas, but then also working with a teacher in a 1-to-4 teacher to student ratio to work on their program and their various academic classes. So it's an integrated model. SAS teachers collaborate really closely with our content area teachers. And many of our students will take SAS in the early years and then transition out as they move up through the program, which just provides them with skill building, but then more scheduling flexibility as they move up through the program. And then the last piece on the slide is independent studies and certificates of distinction. And our Jae-Hong and Matt can speak a little bit to their programs and kind of how they've approached their learning here and the opportunities for challenge as they've moved up through. But we have sort of a really a variety of things that seniors in particular can do to really differentiate and explore areas of interest. So one of those is independent studies. Oftentimes through those relationships that I talked about that students build through advisory or through taking multiple classes with a particular teacher, they will then want to pursue a course or area of study that we aren't necessarily offering a specific class on, but they'll be able to dig in that area of interest with a trusted adult advisor. And then certificates of distinction, we offer those certificates across various content areas and disciplines. That is an opportunity, again, for students to take a really deep dive in a specific subject area, often paired with work that they're doing outside the classroom over the summer to take outside courses, to really individualize their learning and their pursuits and really take a deep dive and show their real talents. So those are just a few program areas that we wanted to make sure that we mention. I talked a little bit about SAS, but I can go into a little bit more detail. Sorry about that. Again, SAS is a place where students are zeroing in on some real executive function skill building work that really helps any student, whether they have executive function deficits, significant ones or moderate ones, or just kind of learning different ways that they learn and how they best approach academic material. So this is skill building work that benefits all of our students, but in particular, some of our students will come in with recommendations from their sending school or kind of previous educational experience that will zero in on skill building that we want to do to help support them in academic classrooms. And again, it's a very integrated model that partners with content area classrooms and teachers to make sure that we're doing skill building that's targeted to the work that students are doing in the classroom.
Great. Thank you so much, Ben. And because we just spoke a lot about the curriculum and schedule and support that all of our students have, we wanted to take a moment to briefly touch upon the middle school that we're opening up this fall and the curriculum, because we will be integrated within the community as a whole, both middle school and upper school. However, the curriculum will look slightly different for 8th graders just because they're at a different stage in their academic journey. So we wanted to provide you a quick overview of how their classes and curriculum will really work within their schedule. Of course, they are receiving all of that challenge and support that we just spoke about. However, we really wanted to highlight the different subjects and how they really integrate within each other and also integrate within subjects that are outside of the normal academically solid subjects. So as you can see on the screen, we have courses in English and language arts, science, math, and history and social studies all being explored in the 8th grade, all the while really working alongside each other and incorporating themes of art, health and physical education, academic strategies. So we're really teaching those students those fundamentals of writing and typing, those skills and academic strategies that we spoke about just earlier, understanding how to manage their time and how to use their time most effectively, and really helping them with their executive organizational skills. So as you can see, it's a traditional middle school 8th grade curriculum while also exploring major themes and allowing students to really achieve their best. And Nikki.
Hi, so I'm going to talk a little bit about student life. Student life is a great way for our community to come together, but also support our academic classrooms with some hands-on and also some lived experiences, and combining those together so that students walk away with a little bit better or more engaged or even deeper ideas or understandings around larger community issues, whether that be community issues on a national level or a global level. Next slide, I think. So student life, it comes out in many ways. So one of them, these are listed here. So advisory, assemblies, health and wellness, through the DI department itself, and then also during spring sessions. So advisory happens 4 times out of the week. Students have an advisor. Their group is typically about 4 to 5 other students. And it's a great way for students to connect with each other, but also connect with the adult that is the advisor. Sometimes they play games, but sometimes they also look at some issues that are happening currently in our current events. Every time they will look at their progress report. And so weekly, bi-weekly, students get a progress report that lets them know how they're doing in class, what assignments they might be missing, or what assignments they are completely doing an amazing job on, and just giving them the understanding of what skill that they've learned from doing that assignment, that they've accomplished that. So advisory is a great time to kind of do all of those things at once. As you saw in the schedule that was previously posted, it's there 4 times a week. Assembly happens about 1 to 2 times a week. It's a great way for us to all come together as a community. We have sometimes performances, senior presentations, sometimes we'll have a speaker, sometimes we will split into other groups and talk about other things that we would like to discuss as a community. But assembly really gives us a time that is not often seen anymore, where an entire school can come together and actually be a community. It's not virtual, it's in person. You're sitting next to someone, you get to chat a little bit before it starts and get to know each other, go sit with a friend because you didn't get to maybe see them at lunch. It's just a great way to be a real community in a really organic way. Our health and wellness program is kicking off with an extremely amazing structure that's really going to allow kids to really think about, what do I need to feel mentally and physically healthy and well? How do I deal with anxiety? How do I deal with a really unhealthy relationship that I might be having with someone? How do I take care of myself? It's a skill that we have seen that many students need because there just wasn't that opportunity to really learn those things pre-coming to us. And so it's one that we think will allow all of our community to be better for each other and better for themselves, which is a huge need right now. DI, it's, as I said before, it's not just, oh, what's your curriculum, right? We're not only decolonizing a curriculum, we're not only, making sure that it's anti-bias, but who are we actually learning about? Why are we learning about them? But also, how do we bring those communities into our spaces, right? So we have an amazing program that allows us to really look at not only who is present, but also who do we want to be here, who might not be here yet. So how can we learn about that community, that group, that issue? Really allowing students to take the initiative in understanding and learning about that, and guiding us to support what they want to learn. One of the great parts about diversity, equity, and inclusion is that it's, for us, many times student-led, right? What do you want to learn about? Who do you want to see come to campus? Why is this important to you? So we can actually really engage with it in a way that's organic to us being, here for them. And then spring sessions is a great way for us to connect in places that are not our campus. So during the last week of school, students take the opportunity to pick a trip. Some of those trips are, going to local shelters or local homes to support them for the week. Some of them are, going to Chicago and learning how to actually navigate a city. Some of them are going to Disney and figuring out how do you actually make a team and a leadership program when you have all of these different people coming to this one space. And others go to Philadelphia and find out what it was like to fight for freedom, while others were not giving that same allowance of freedom. So spring session really allows students to pick and choose something that they're interested in and really dive into it for about 4 to 5 days, and really come back and share back to the community what they've learned. And then co-curricular. So all of our students are required to take on or engage in a co-curricular activity. That could be our musical theater program, cross-country, volleyball, basketball, ropes course. There's multiple options for students to engage with, but it really allows them to find another layer of themselves that's not just academic, and also connect with pretty much everyone on campus. So this is the one time students can come together, and it doesn't matter that I'm a freshman or a senior, because we're both in the play and we want to see it be successful. One of the most amazing things that I've seen is a student who theoretically really saw themselves as only an athlete, but they tried visual performing arts, they tried the play for the first time, and they were insanely ecstatic to see that this was a skill, a talent that they had. And so they were able to go back and forth between being an athlete and, you know, being in theater, and really embrace both sides of that personality. It feels very High School Musical, I know, but it's really great to actually provide that moment for a student so that they can see that they have so many other talents that they can engage with, and give them a safe place to do that, that allows them to take some risk and, you know, grow as a person through those different lenses. Also, you know, on the flip of that, a student who's never picked up a softball bat and they're about to try softball and actually hitting and, you know, performing really well to the point that they become, you know, listed as one of the MVPs for that year. So it's a great opportunity for students to find who they are in a non-academic space. So our co-curriculars are really amazing and really support that.
And Matt and Jaehong, do you want to talk a little bit about the co-curriculars that you've been engaged with while you're students here at CHCH?
Yeah, sure. I've had done a whole variety of different co-curriculars. Prior to coming to CHCH, I played tennis, so in the spring I still do play tennis on the tennis team. But also I've been able to just try out a bunch of different things that, you know, I never knew I would want to do, right? Like I tried out soccer for one fall, and I had a great time doing that, even though I'd never played it before. So I think it's really just a great opportunity to, you know, meet people that aren't in your classes, that are in other grades, but also to discover kind of new passions that you might have that you didn't know.
I did most of like athletic co-curriculars. I play soccer in fall, basketball in the winter, and then I tried tennis and lacrosse. I didn't even know what lacrosse was before coming to CHH. Then I tried lacrosse for the first time, and then it was great because even though it was my first year playing, like first 3 months playing lacrosse, we won the championship, and then the next year we also won the championship again. So it was a great experience that I had from Chapel Hill.
Great, Nikki, if you want to take it away.
Can you hear me? Perfect. So our CHCH boarding program is a really robust way for students who are living on campus to interact with us being so close to Boston. It really allows students a chance to explore the city in a way that allows it to become almost like a third home for them. One of the biggest activities that I've heard from boarding community and boarding members is the community nights, right? The dinners out together, the making dinner together, really taking time to just like do the things that you would do at home, but with your friends, and really engaging in, you know, a family recipe, or laughing because all the flour spilled on the floor and now there's no more flour, and now Mr. Bobby has to run out to the grocery store to grab more, right? Like it's just those real life moments of being together that really, you know, allow them to connect and have these amazing bonds that last, you know, not through just their first year or second years here, but through their entire time here. And then post that, you know, it's always a great challenge to learn to live with other people. And so this is a great way for students to do this without the fear of, you know, doing it wrong or not having adult support. So our boarding program is really great at allowing students to really understand what it means to live with someone else, but also figure out and live with yourself as well. What do I need? Do I need to go to Target for that toothpaste run? Because I'm definitely out of toothpaste. Okay, I'm going on a Target run. Really just engaging in activities such as that, really learning how to I don't want to say grow up because I don't like that term, but be an adult, be a young adult, be responsible.
Yeah, and Jae-Hong, I would love to hear your experience being a boarder here at CHCH. What was most meaningful for you being in this experience?
I mean, like boarding life give you a lot of advantage. I feel like being in a boarding community helps you with building friendship with other students. If you're an international student like I was, I'm from Korea, just by the way, and I was international student for 4 years. It was great to know different people and different like cultures, language, etc. And it was great to know how to approach other people when you're in the new or foreign places. And yeah, I think it was very meaningful. You get to have a friends around the world, not in only in Massachusetts or in Boston, Waltham area. You get to know everyone in every places in the world. So it was great.
Awesome. And then just out of fun curiosity, were there any outings that you particularly remember that stood out to be one of your favorites?
Definitely like weekend activities were the best part of boarding life. I remember going to watch Celtics game in TD Garden. There's a lot other stuff like ice skating, even like weekly open gym. I had a lot of memories with my friends and teachers during those open gyms and like movie nights, etc. So I feel like every week I was excited to see the weekend activity list to know what I can do with my friends.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for sharing those stories. All right, Ben.
So our Director of College Counseling, Brooke Fink, is excellent, and like she often says, is a department of one, but a mighty department of one. She works extremely closely with our students starting in their junior year. So she does a kind of college, all things college, preparing students and families for college in the middle of their junior year, and all students in their 11th grade English classes work to write a initial college essay. So we start the process mid-junior year, and the process sort of goes really strong through the summer. She offers a college boot camp in the summertime that Matt will be doing a little bit later this summer, getting ready with his common application and all of his essays and so forth. And then many of our students, more and more students, are applying to school earlier and earlier. So that process kind of continues strong through the fall months until the winter deadlines and so forth. So it's a really robust process for about a calendar year from winter to winter. And Brooke is intimately kind of working with students throughout and families throughout that process. And then again, like with the relationships that students are able to build in the classroom and in advisory, they have faculty members that are working really closely with them as well, getting to know them, writing recommendations. So because we're such a tight-knit community, that sort of permeates all program areas, and college counseling is absolutely a place where that happens. I'm seeing the kind of some of the keywords here on the slide, and thinking about happiness challenge really kind of mirrors the work that we do here on campus. So again, finding out where students' passions lie and then helping to foster that and helping them to explore that. We know that's what's going to be instrumental for their college success, and that's instrumental for their success when they're here at Chapel Hill. So Brooke's work is always, and she'll often say that it's about fit. We don't send large cohorts of students to any particular school. They really get to understand the landscape and the process and figure out where they're going to be most successful and what type of community. So it's really, again, about getting to know themselves while they're here in a really kind of safe and supportive environment, and better understanding themselves so they know where they're going to be successful in the process. So I hope folks on the call get a chance to meet and talk to Brooke at some point in your journey of exploring CHCH, because she is excellent. So I talked a little bit about some of this, but all of our students apply to and are accepted to college, and all of our students explore other post-secondary options and opportunities along the way. So, Brooke is really intent on having students really understand the post-secondary landscape and what that is and what that means, so that they can be successful. I know Matt and Jay may have an opportunity to talk about their processes and how they've gone through that. But our students really identify top choice schools early in the process, and 80% of our students are accepted to one of their top choice schools. So it's really that work that happens in the junior year and then through the summer of really getting a better understanding of the landscaping, knowing kind of where a student is going to be successful, and going for that. And like I said, sometimes we'll have a couple of students in any given year going to a particular school. It's usually just happenstance. We really get a landscape, and we have students kind of attending, as you can see, if you can read the matriculation list on the right, a wide variety of schools, kind of all over the US and over the world, in a place where they know they're going to be really successful. Yeah, so it's really about fit, and it's about identifying where a student is going to thrive and then going after that.
Great. Thank you so much, Ben. So now we're at our Q&A time. So feel free again to submit your questions in our Q&A, and we'd be happy to answer them. But just to get the Q&A started, in terms of communication to parents, parents want to be part of the process in terms of knowing how their student is doing, both academically and personally. Would we be able to maybe expand upon what the communication structure is like, progress notes, and how we're engaging with our parent community?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk a little bit about progress notes, and colleagues, feel free to jump in if you have anything to add, or students as well. So our faculty write weekly progress notes for all of our students, and those progress notes are often an update on what's going on in the class, in the particular classroom, and then also an individualized comment for students to just give a quick progress check-in. And those are published every Tuesday for students on the day that they meet with their advisors. So on Tuesday afternoons, when we have an advisory, students and advisors are reviewing progress notes, checking in, and oftentimes making a plan kind of for the week ahead. Those progress notes are then published for families on Wednesday. So students and their advisors have a 24-hour jump to kind of work on some skill building of how kind of we look at our to-dos and make a plan, and then they can report back to families to let them know, here's my plan once those progress notes are published. So again, it's a way to build some self-advocacy skills for students, and kind of foster that independence that we want them to really hone in their time with us.
Great. And then I guess for Matt and Jay Hong, when did you know that CHCH was the right fit, and why did you feel like CHCH was going to be the right school for you?
I can go first. When I first came to Chapel Hill, as most of you guys know, I was this like Korean boy who didn't know any English, or didn't know any culture of the United States. So I thought Chapel Hill was the place when I start to know what I can do with this community, what this community can offer me, and how welcoming this community was. And I learned that every year, and I thought it was such a welcoming place, and place that you can learn a lot, not only academically, but athletically, artistically, and community-wise.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of along the same vein. When I was first looking at schools, I was very stubborn. I didn't really want to go anywhere other than public school, right? And I wasn't in a super great place, but and I didn't really want to admit that I needed that kind of support that comes with Chapel Hill. Um, but then on my tour, I got to see, I saw everybody on campus, and everybody seemed, or it sounds very cliche, but everyone seemed just happy and like talking to each other. And I thought, oh, that's somewhere where I want to be. That's the community that I want to be in. So it was really my tour that convinced me to come.
Great. And a question came in specifically surrounding English language. So do we have an English as a second language or similar programs for non-native speakers? If so, could we please share more info on how that's integrated into the full curriculum?
I can begin. Yes, we do have an ELL program for international students. That typically in the classroom will look like students taking an additional ELL workshop concurrently with their regular course load. So we have a kind of integrated model where students are in the same classrooms, but then may require some additional targeted ELL support. And that will look a lot like a skills and academic strategies class in terms of the ratio and the way that the class is laid out. So a student will meet with a teacher and a small cohort 3 times a week for 70 minutes, and will often be working on their English assignments or their history assignments with that instructor.
Great. And then another question from an international perspective. So maybe Jae Hong, if you want to jump in here. What fun activities or kind of support systems do international students in particular get to participate in while they're a student here at Chapel Hill?
I remember when Mr. Christensen, who just retired, when he was in charge of the international students, we got to get to meet like monthly, and he would ask us like how we're doing, is anything help, any help that we need. He was very helpful. He would like if we just run into each other during the school day, he would say hi. It was really nice. Any special, like ELL is definitely something that my fellow international students benefited from. And then definitely like clubs that I feel like clubs are not only for international students, but there were some international students club that international student gathered and shared their experience in Chapel Hill. I think those are the ones that I could remember.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And then in terms of the beginning of the school year, so what is the beginning of the school year like? Are there any sort of special programming to welcome folks to campus? What does that look like?
Yeah, I can take that one. So we have our orientation week, which allows all of us to kind of get to know each other. There's usually a trip. There's some understanding of our community norms and policies. A great way for us to kind of talk about clubs, like what clubs would be offered, what things can you explore during, that are non-academic. So it really allows for some time to get to know each other, right? Versus just going straight in on okay, and now we're sitting and learning this algebra equation and here we go. Make a mistake in front of people that you have no idea who they are and feel comfortable with that, right? No, it's really the reverse. Let's get comfortable with each other so that we can take some chances and take some risks and then explore, okay, I might not get this equation right, but I know that, math's going to help me out later on and help me figure out where I went wrong on this. So that's really important for us to make sure the students feel that amount of safety and courage in those spaces. The end of the school year, again, we don't have a finals week. We end with that spring session, which is typically around the Memorial Day weekend, however you look at it. So that's typically around when we end our academic school year.
Great. And then for students who are interested in independent study or certificates of distinction or, that rigorous side of the curriculum, Ben, would you be able to expand upon those programs a little bit more?
Absolutely. So we offer a pretty wide variety of upper level elective courses. For a relatively small school, there are a fair amount of offerings for seniors, and that does include AP courses in each of our major disciplines. So there are kind of a wide variety of opportunities for students to find challenge and rigor and support, really in a lot of different areas. But if there's kind of a very specific area of interest that a student has, that falls that kind of we're not offering a course in any given year, they can pursue independent studies, and those can take a variety of forms. Sometimes it's a student designing their own independent study alongside a faculty member, and kind of doing that in the end of the junior year and into the summer, and then teeing that up for a full year course of their own design, where they're supported by a faculty member and all the various resources that we have here on campus, to be able to kind of actualize that. In some cases, it's kind of more straightforward, where a student knows they really want to take AP chemistry, and we do not offer AP chemistry. We offer AP environmental science. So they're going to go pursue that as an independent study, and perhaps take an online course, but have a faculty advisor here on campus that they can check in with regularly and make sure that they're understanding what they're doing and they have support here with a person here on campus. So independent studies kind of run the gamut, and there's all sorts of different exciting things and really inventive things that kids have done here for independent studies. And then with certificates of distinction, that's really a way for students to differentiate themselves, and really show to the community, and communities outside of Chapel Hill, kind of the deep dive that they've taken in certain subject areas, whether that's in world languages or in STEM, or in the humanities. So there's kind of a wide range of things that students will do. And again, it's just a way to communicate who they are, show who they are, explore areas of interest, and really kind of differentiate their experience while they're here. So I know, like, Jay and Matt could probably go on about some of the things that they've explored while they're here, because I think that if you talk to any student at Chapel Hill, what you'll get is at least a slightly different story about how they've approached academics, because we have a fair amount of choice.
Wonderful. Thank you. And then our last question here, which is a great question to really end on, I think, is what do you love most about CHCH? So whoever wants to chime in here would be much appreciated.
I really love the size of the school and the community that it brings. Just being able to know everybody that you see is something that I personally love. But then also the small class sizes and the relationship that you kind of get to form with your teacher, especially because you might end up having them for multiple years and are in different classes. And I think it allows you to both enjoy your time in school, but also succeed and do the best that you can.
I'll say that this question always changes for me, but it typically is always about the students. I really love that our students are engaged and welcoming and social justice minded and willing to talk things through, even if they're uncomfortable with it. But that our kids are a real great picture of what the future can look like when the community comes together.
At the risk of sounding redundant, for me, it's the relationships, it's the people, in particular students. We have kind of the most empathic group of students that I've worked with in my educational career, and it's why I choose to work in the boarding program and live here on campus and raise my own children here. It's just a fantastic community with wonderful, wonderful people.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. So this concludes our event, but we wanted to provide you with some additional information in regards to connecting with us further. So as always, feel free to reach out to us at any time if you have any questions. We also have a couple programs coming up in person that we wanted to make you aware of. Next week, next Tuesday, the 25th of July, we have a Coffee with the Head program here on campus where you have the opportunity to have coffee and connect with our head of school, Dr. Lance Conrad, and our head of middle school, Kelly Walsh, and our admissions team. It's a really great event to just get to know us a little bit better and have an opportunity to meet us face to face. We also have open house registration is open for our October date. So feel free to hop on to our website if you are interested in coming to campus for the open house and register. Otherwise, again, feel free to connect with us via email or through our social channels. We're really excited that you took this time to connect with us. And I want to take a moment to thank our wonderful panelists for sharing all of their wonderful information, as well as taking the time out of their busy schedules to speak to you today. But otherwise, we really enjoyed spending this time with you and hope you have a great rest of your day or evening.